Hi folks, welcome to Crisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary. And not your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Hi, welcome back from thecollegefix.com. This is a smaller website. It doesn't get a lot of publicity. It's got some really interesting things concerning what's going on college campuses and education and the fight against this critical race theory and the other progressive and leftist stuff. And there's some really wild stories that goes on universities that people don't even hear about. I suggest you give it a try. Let's go with the story. Governor Ron DeSantis, who I'm a big fan of, new curriculum initiative will promote teaching civics, disavow critical race theory. Yeah, it's got no room for in school. I mean, can you go too far the other way and whitewash history? Yeah, but there was no whitewashing. I got out of high school in 1974, for Pete's sake, and I was in grade school 10 years prior to that. It's right after John Kennedy got killed. It's nobody whitewashed slavery. Nobody whitewashed racism. Nobody whitewashed any of that. And I went to school through the time that Martin Luther King was assassinated, Bobby Kennedy was shot, and a bunch of other tons of riots that were horrendous. And they've been 10 times worse last year with all the BLM protests and rioting and Antifa and all that. So I was around when things were really bad culturally. Nobody whitewashed anything. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, a Republican, recently announced an initiative to promote civics education. Yeah. A civic literacy excellence initiative would create a new professional licensure endorsement for educators in civics education, according to a news release from the governor's office. Teaching young people that the federal government is set up, why the executive is there, why the rules are there, the Congress, the Senate, the Supreme Court, and all the things, and how the states' rights and states have their own way to do things, and everything is separate as far as states goes, and what they can do and what they can't do. And the rights of individuals in the Constitution and the Declaration aren't things that are racial at all. It's like saying that, the presidential term limit is 4 years. That's just a statement of fact from the Constitution. It's not anything to do with race at all. It's absolutely insane. Teachers would earn an endorsement that would be given $3,000 bonus according to the details of the proposal. Another $6.5 million would be available for civics education for principals and teachers. A high-quality education begins with a high-quality curriculum, which is why I remain laser-focused on developing the best possible civics education standards, the governor said in his statement. This proposal still needs to be introduced and passed by Florida legislatures. It will promote high-quality civics education for Florida students and require and reward classroom educators, DeSantis said. Now, we'll say you're a really whack job. I shouldn't say whack job. You're a really extreme progressive and leftist, and you have children, and you want your children to know about critical race theory and all this other nonsense, and the world is flat crap. Tell them that at your house. That's your prerogative. I think it's wrong. I think lying to your children is wrong, but I guess you got a right as parents, so I'm not going to take that away from you. But we're not going to have taxpayer-funded critical race theory and all this nonsense that absolutely has no standing at all. None. In fact and in reality. DeSantis also criticized critical race theory, stating ideologies like this have no place in Florida, have no place in classrooms. There's no classrooms for things that create race theory, the governor said during his press conference. Part of the revamping of education in the state will include improving their curriculum. I will expressly exclude unsanctioned narratives like critical race theory and other unsubstantiated theories. It's only the academics that go round and round and round with each other that make this thing sound credible. It's like one reporter will report on an individual thing that happened, and then 10 others will report on it, and then more reporters will report on their reporters, and so on and so on and so on. It has nothing to do with the truth. It will expressly exclude unsanctioned narratives like critical race theory and other unsubstantiated theories. DeSantis said, teaching kids to hate their country and to hate each other is not worth 1 red cent of taxpayer money. Absolutely. Let me read that again. Teaching kids to hate their country and to hate each other is not worth 1 red cent of taxpayer money. Well, that deserves a round of applause. I don't use my sound effects that much. It's amazing to me. I don't think, well, now that we're having a lot of virtual classes, I think a lot of these parents are realizing some of the crap and lies and twists of facts and history that their kids are being taught. In fact, there was a big stink in a lot of school districts that parents weren't allowed to watch the virtual, when you're on your laptop in class, the parents weren't allowed to watch because it was public, it was safety for the other children. BS. They're afraid they're going to be exposed. And they couldn't record any of them either, which I'm recording this right now. It's real easy to do, and you can't trace it, and people were doing it. And they got caught. The Fix reached out to DeSantis' office to ask about the motivation behind the proposal and his goals, but did not receive a response in the past 2 weeks. Problem is with the College Fix, you're a smaller website. You're not really that big yet. And that's the problem. It's a catch-22. It's like my channel. You can't get big unless somebody reaches out to you and you get a break and get a lot of exposure. So they probably didn't respond to you because of the size of your website. There were probably so many inquirers, they only could respond to the ones that were bigger and had more of a media presence. One teacher shared his support for the proposal with the College Fix. Understanding civics is the foundation of a free society. Absolutely. Gavin Rollins, a civics teacher in Florida, told the Fix via email, Rollins is a Clay County commissioner and served as a city council member. I'm a former city council member as well here in upstate New York. I was in the early 2000s, from 2000 to 2007, as a Democrat. I left the party in 2013. I should have left them years before that. And in 2006, I was a city council president, picked by the Democrat members of city council as their president. I was going to leave the party then, but I was talked out of it. I probably should have, but hindsight's 2020. Let's read on. Civic instruction is passing on the torch of liberty to the next generation. Absolutely, Rollins said. This plan provides emphasis on civics from a pro-American perspective and helps root out Marxist, communist ideology like critical race theory. It is Marxist doctrine. And that's the part that's disgusting, is a lot of these progressive and leftists, they take advantage of the fact that the vast majority of the American people want justice and fairness. And they use that to twist it and turn it and use their wanting their country to be better to start promoting this crap. They take advantage of people's better nature. Americans, vast majority, are incredibly fair and want justice as much as can be had in an imperfect world. As civics teacher who served in government, I was able to provide real-world perspective of the students. Teaching civics requires engagement from elected officials and student internship. Real-world experience, not just theoretical ideas. Absolutely. What happens in the real world? You get pulled over by a cop and he acts like a dick. It's because you were black? No, it's because the cop's just a dick that day, or maybe he got in an argument with his wife the day before or that morning. Who the hell knows why? It's nothing to do with race. It's crazy. The fix reached out to several members of the Florida Education Association for comment on the proposal, but did not receive a response. That's not a surprise. If you were Fox News, you wouldn't get a response. A civics teacher who was also a mayor criticized the exclusion of race theory from the classroom. Since we've been given the white version of history, that means you were asking about the version of history. Jordan Marlowe, a high school teacher and mayor of Newberry, told WCJB20. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. There was no history of whitewash when I went to school. No history at all. With the Civil War, and Jim Crow, all kinds of crazy stuff. But the problem is, though, the vast majority of racism in this country, institutionalized racism, not individual asshat racism, because I have no use for real racists. They're worthless. Not even worth my time. But the real institutional racism done by local, state, and federal governments were Democrats. That's why they don't want the real history to be told. They want to twist and distort it and put the blame on somebody else. It was a Democrat party that instituted Jim Crow. Let's tell the truth here. They said, well, that was the Democrat Party from long ago, John. Don't be a jerk. Well, it wasn't that long ago. I was born in 1956. They had it done. And it was all Democrats. All of a sudden, when Lyndon Johnson got sworn in as president, all of a sudden, all the elected Democrats in the South and other parts of the country saw the light. Nonsense. None of them did. And the big switch, that's a lie. They either stayed Democrats or they were voted out of office. They stayed Democrats until they retired, or they stayed Democrats until they were voted out of office. Why do you think that the vast majority in the South now of elected officials are Republicans? There was no switch because the South changed. Their views on race changed. Is it perfect? No, because you're dealing with people and you're never going to have perfection. It's tons better than it was. It's all a scam. It's all a diversion. To see what they're really doing is making bigger government more intrusive, run your lives, run your family's lives, tell me how many people you can have at your house, how you educate your kids, how you treat your kids as far as education. I mean, homeschooling is zooming in number, going up dramatically because parents are waking up. I would love to see cameras in all classrooms, especially the K through 6th grade. Maybe even through, I call it junior high. Today they call it middle school. I would love to see it. I don't want to hear about students' privacy. That's a lot of crap. You don't have to show all the students. You just have to show what's being said. Audio. I don't have a problem with any of that. They're being exposed and they don't like it. They don't like it. They're seen for the hypocrites they really are. Before I carry on and on, I can go on for an hour about this, and I won't make this video too long, but good for you, Governor DeSantis, and other county executives and governors, county commissioners. Look at this. Florida has come a long ways. If you remember, if you're a little bit older, you remember always the cluster blank that was the Florida elections, especially the presidential ones. There was always chaos and all kind. Remember the hanging chads and the Bush v. Gore case in the Supreme Court? Their system was a total disaster. They've cleaned up their act dramatically, and now they're cleaning up their act in public schools. They've already almost 100% fixed their election problems. There's never going to be 100%, but as close as you can in an imperfect world. Florida's come a long ways. It's because conservative and Republican governors and county commissioners and county executives say this is enough. We need to fix this cluster blank, and they did. So I hope this is a blueprint for many other red states or even red counties. The problem is, though, the state has a say over the education system. I live in upstate New York, so I'm screwed as far as changing the education system, but you got to start somewhere. So Ron DeSantis, Governor DeSantis, good for you. Other governors, look at this. Don't back off. These people need to be confronted at every given opportunity before they eventually just lose and perish and go away and go back into the woodwork where you belong. And until next time, folks, goodbye and good luck.